Okay, because as you know, this is live and anything can and does happen. And a lot of times it's either me on mute, put that into the other microphone, or I just don't go live at all. So let me just check that. I'm here somewhere. He says, I love how my phone just gave me the option to see fewer posts from Grant Saunders Hypnotist. So even my phone's trying to block me from myself. So there we go. Everything is here. Richard Cole is in the house. Natasha Stanley's here. You look different tonight, Natasha. Richard Cole's here as well from that sunny old Canada. Hopefully everybody's well. Natasha, Richard, can you hear us okay? If you can, let me know in the comment section or tell me if I am on mute. Fantastic. You're live on all. Brilliant. Yes, fantastic guest tonight, this afternoon. And we've just been having a bit of a chat in the green room, which was actually fantastic. And I know it's very important for hypnotists to have different income streams, and we were just bashing out a couple of ideas there. So keep your eyes peeled for some very exclusive content. That's brilliant. So, guys, without further ado, please put the applause emoji, put the cheering emoji if you want, because it's tonight. You can put the eggplant emoji. That would all be fine. But please make some noise for the man, the myth, the legend that is Paul Ramsay.
Oh my goodness! That we're already if we're laughing this hard and we just got started,
yeah,
we're in for some serious trouble.
There we go. Oh, Fraser Penman has given you 5 eggplants.
5 eggplants. I'm putting that on my website. I'm going to put the testimonial section. Fraser Penman, 5 eggplants. That's something I'm.
Oh no! He's up in the game now.
Oh, I don't even.
Oh, look at this!
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what happens. We had Kaz Wiley on a couple of weeks ago. They all start getting fruity in the comment section.
How
brilliant.
you been, man?
So yeah, tell me about stage hypnosis, where you are. I mean, what part of the US are you in at the moment?
I'm on the East Coast right now. I grew up in the very small state of New Hampshire, and when the pandemic, and I've lived there my whole life. I've lived in New Hampshire my whole life. Very proud to be in that state. It's a good state with good people. And my work thankfully let me travel. So I got to go all over the place and have a lot of fun traveling. And so, but when the pandemic came, everything got so weird, and all the work went away, as you and your audience know. So it really gave me a wonderful opportunity. I think obviously nobody's rooting for the pandemic, right? Like you don't want to, it sounds weird to almost say like you're grateful for the pandemic, but I think part of what we do as hypnotists is we're good at reframing, and we're good at seeing things from different perspectives. And surely even the most tragic things often have some kind of a silver lining. And for me, it was, okay, this is basically turning into a sabbatical year, right? Like I'm not going to work. So what would I rather do? And so I sold my house. I was like, why should I pay a mortgage when I don't, I sold my house. I got rid of 90%, not exaggerating, I got rid of 90% of what I owned.
Wow.
I bought I sold my motorcycle. I sold my car. I bought a truck, and I believe what you all call a caravan.
Yes.
Here we call them travel trailers. I bought a caravan, and I headed west. And I was like, I'm just going to go. And I'm going to go out, and I'm going to be someplace warm for the winter for a change. Yeah. I'm not going to shovel snow and salt the ice on my path. And I'm like, I'm just going to go do things. I'm going to hike, and I'm going to take photos and spend more time with my dog out in nature. And that's what I did. And it was awesome. It was just fantastic. And luckily I had saved enough money so that I could, and I reduced my living costs enough when coupled with the money I had saved that I could do that. I basically took a whole year, and I just did what I wanted. And it was awesome. I met beautiful people. I met wonderful Americans from all different walks of life who shared this common thing about RVing, liking to be out in the RV life. Yeah. Kind people, helpful people. And it was great. And so what I ended up liking it so much that I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this from now on. I came up with a plan to basically go out west every winter, come back to New Hampshire and stay with my mom and my dad and visit with them and check in on them in the summer. And I was like, I can just keep looping. What here in America, they call that being a snowbird. You go where it's warm in the summer and where it's warm in the winter, right? The snowbirds, they migrate.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to do that. And I was like, I can, the way we do, I was like, I can always find an airport and I can fly to a show when shows come back. And so I started planning for all that. And then I came back for the summer. And as I had mentioned to you on a previous show, I put in the comments, like, I started getting some bookings again, high school events, and I was doing that, and that was fine. And then I got diagnosed with cancer, and that kind of threw everything off. And then I got breakthrough COVID, and that really threw everything off. I got breakthrough COVID while I was touring. I was in a state that did not have any kind of. The governor was very like, we're not going to tell people what to do or how to live their lives at all. You don't have to mask. You don't have to do anything. And so I got hired by a school, and I went in, and there was none of that stuff going on. And next thing I knew, I had COVID. So even though I had a mask on the whole night, but when you're in a closed room with, 170 people, it was just too much air getting pushed around. And I think the combination of that and my cancer, it hit me really hard. It took me a month to feel like I was getting better at it. I did start to feel like I was getting better. Then I had kidney failure. Even though I felt like I was getting better, I started to have kidney failure. So I had to go in the hospital for a week. Looked like maybe I wasn't going to make it for a little bit. The kidney thing is weird because that can go really fast. Luckily, I had beautiful people who took good care of me, and they turned me around. And now I'm just trying to deal with the cancer thing. But again, all of that, like, there's beauty in all of that. Like, I don't want cancer, but if I'm going to have it, I'm going to find a way to have a beautiful life lesson come out of it.
Yeah.
I'm doing all of that. I'm working on all of that. I have not, since the COVID thing, I had to cancel the rest of my tour. And then things got weird again with Delta numbers going up, and then Omicron came. And so while there are stage hypnotists who are working here in the United States, I haven't worked since August.
Yeah.
I've been and that was a conscious choice. My agents could have got me work. I said, no, I'm in treatment. I'm doing chemo every 3 weeks, and I'm getting extra meds on the off weeks and stuff. I was like, I want to completely devote myself to my health and my wellness. Yeah. And so I just have been focusing on that. And that's fine. That's great. And as hopefully y'all can see, like, I'm good, like, I got things I got to work on, but I'm good. And in fact, I'm doing so well. I've started working a small amount of work back in. I'm offering a stage training and,
nice.
Doing some things like that where I can do it from the comfort of my home and do all this distance stuff. I am not planning to do stage shows until June, when high schools, I think, will be through. I think Omicron will have tailed off by then, and everyone will get out of cold and flu season, and people can start being outside more. And usually the patterns have shown that when the warm weather comes, things get better. Yeah. So my agents are taking bookings for me again for June, and then I think I'll go back on tour if all goes well and my treatment goes the way I hope it will, which so far it is. Then I'll be back out flying around the country and doing shows in August for colleges, and it's going to be cool. It's going to be good.
Yeah. I mean, it's you packed a lot into a couple of years there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sorry, I know that was a lot. Yeah,
here's me just floating along, and there's you having massive life. Life.
Yeah, but everybody's got massive life stuff. That's the weird thing right now, right? Like I feel like honestly, everybody has massive life stuff going on.
Do you know what I found? And I don't say this out publicly a lot. There was a point when we were in like full lockdown. Like you could only, if you can only go out for essentials, and the whole world was in lockdown. Now, I look back to that time with a fondness. There was a security to that, not being able to do this, not being able. I quite liked the lockdown. I'm pleased we're out of it now. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm having, or I have, doubts or thoughts when I'm gigging and traveling again now, whereas before I was so busy you don't give it a second thought. Now sometimes you do put things in perspective. You do go kind of, what do I want to do with my life? How do I want to spend my time? Rather than chasing money, chasing the dollar, chasing the prestige,
Yeah.
Maybe I want to sit and play with the cat. Maybe I want to write, and it's stuff happens that you go, actually,
Yeah.
these moments are the things that are absolutely amazing. Brian Glenn says, blimey, that's a proper English word, isn't it? Blimey. Proper inspirational. You look great, dude. Keep on keeping on.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
Brian's a
I'll
fantastic
tell you,
guy.
Grant, I went through the same thing. And again, that's part of that silver lining for me. And I did a lot of reflecting when my diagnosis came in. And what I realized, the pandemic made me start looking at the way I was living my professional life. And then when the cancer diagnosis came in, I went deeper into the connection between my professional and my personal.
Yeah.
And I had a cool conversation with Scott Sandlin when I was out at Hypnothoughts in Las Vegas in July. And I said, I came to realize most of what I had done for my past 18 years now, I started in hypnotism in 2004. I said, and most of what I've done is been ego driven, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been about showing that I can do things better than other hypnotists, that I have better ideas than other hypnotists, that I can be successful, and I can show that I can make more money than the average hypnotist or get better gigs than the average hypnotist. And even the times when I like to think I bring my heart to what I do a lot. Yeah. I know that, but still there's this element. And I honestly think, if you're a stage hypnotist, you're driven. There's a bigger share than most want to admit of being driven by your ego. Yeah. You don't choose to get up on stage out of like this purely altruistic. You want people to tell you how great you are, how great your show was. Like, and so I'm like, just like, I can own that. I hope other, but I'm like, I think I'm at this place now. I'm going to be 48 in March. I just don't think that's what I want anymore. I think I want other things. And especially now, like, my form of cancer is non-curable. So my best case scenario is that I can get it into remission and extend my life for, I don't know, they won't tell me because they don't want to commit to a number and then be wrong.
Yeah.
Talk to some other people who've had it for 10, 12 years in remission. So I'm like, if everything goes well, maybe I get 10 or 15 more years. That'd be great. So for me, I think, so now all I have is legacy.
Yeah.
I really realized, I'm like, that's really all, like, and that's all we all have, really. But there's sometimes you just don't, it doesn't sink in enough, Yeah. And I'm like, I get that. Like, it doesn't make if I make another $1 million. I've generated over $1 million of revenue in this industry. Whoop-de-doo. Like, the more you make, the more you spend, like, but if I can make a nice legacy happen, and if people will remember me some, and I can make an impact on this industry some, again, that's still ego driven, but I think it's maybe a little bit better of an ego place than just trying to be like, look at all the money I made, or, look at what a big deal I was because I headlined in Vegas or something. I don't know. Like, I don't mean to judge, like, it's all good. Whatever makes you happy is good. I'm like, good. But I really realize now, I'm like, all right, so I have some kind of a limited time frame that I don't even know what it is yet, to forge some kind of a lasting legacy that affects other human beings. And that's kind of all I'm focused on right now.
I mean, and this is not drawing correlation between the two, but there's when you talk about the positives within that, to have something happen that highlights that, so that however long, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, however long you have, something to highlight that, so that you can actually live those years rather than just spend it consuming, making money for other people and not actually living your life. When I saw you got the caravan, it was just, you see someone do something, you go, actually, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Creating moments is what it's about.
Yeah.
Being on the road, traveling. I mean, from gigging and being on the road, I know especially, you look at my Facebook, and post-COVID, I've traveled to some amazing countries and done some amazing stuff. The reality is, I've seen a cruise port, I've seen an airport, I've seen an Uber.
Yeah. It's not as sexy as people want to think it is, right?
Exactly.
You have a lot of hotel rooms and rental cars, and
yeah.
But when you can, but you can find some moments in there sometimes, but they're less moments than I think most people think. You live in the dream, Jeff. Exactly. I always, one of the stories I tell is the first time I rolled into, I don't want to seem insulting because there were other cool things, but it was what happened. I rolled into Fargo, North Dakota. And when I came in, it's just this little town, and I rolled in, and it was it was like August or September, I think. This was years and years ago. I'm in my rental car, and the window's open. I roll in, and I'm like, "Hey, Fargo! I'm in Fargo!" And all of a sudden, the air smelled like urine. And I was like, "What? What?" Like it was some kind of manufacturing plant they had, and whatever they made threw off and it wasn't all the time, like when, but the wind was going just right that day. And I was like, yeah, I'm a hot shot here. I yeah.
They can see me now. I'll show them. Yeah, but especially as hypnotists, that doesn't go on Instagram,
Yeah. You don't put that up, or I keep a photo of the time I headlined at the Topsom Fair in Topsom, Maine, and they they put me out on a portable stage out on the horse racing track, right? Well, a thunderstorm had come through, so they had to pause the horse races, which pushed everything back. And so then it was raining, and long story short, by the time it was showtime, they were still trying to clean up and everything. So the show started an hour late, and I took a picture. There was 6 people sitting in these massive horse racing grandstands, 6 people, and I was like, I'm going to take a picture of this. And someday when I think I'm a big deal, I'm going to remember to go haul this out and be like, yeah, this is you too, tough guy. Yeah.
I had a great moment a couple of years ago, and I think it was I'd done a cruise, and I ended up in Dubai for New Year's Eve, which was brilliant. It's amazing. The Burj Khalifa, they've got the laser show going on there. I'm on deck, the wheeling out like the Dom Perignon. It was amazing. 3 days later, I'm at a place you won't know of this. It's a place called Barnsley in Yorkshire in England. 3 days later, I'm in Barnsley. I'm in the changing room, which is full of broken stools and chairs and a fruit machine, a bandit that doesn't work. And I'm looking out the little door onto the Tesco's shopping pallets that they'd put a bit of carpet on to be a stage. And I looked and I thought, that woman's an alcoholic. She's definitely not volunteering. That guy, he definitely shouldn't volunteer. There's about 15 people in the audience, and every single one of them shouldn't volunteer. And I remember just being stood by the door going, I was in Dubai a couple of days ago. And you almost want to go out and say to these people, guys, do you know what I mean? And it was just, and it's literally you go up here, down here. But that's one of the things I love about stage hypnosis. And that's why you've got to have that. You have got to have a bit of an ego to do it, because if you don't, it sends you crazy.
Yeah. And now we're heading to this time, right, where so many people who are in this business who couldn't work and are itching to get back to work.
Yeah.
We're gonna get that opportunity, but I really just don't think it's gonna be the same. I think some people are gonna be sort of humbled. Yeah. Because I just think it's fundamentally changing the way people consume entertainment. Yeah. And that, like, there's a whole segment of people who are just frothing at the mouth to go back to live entertainment. Like, they want it so bad. But that's gonna be short-lived in terms of its intensity, right? They're not going to froth at the mouth forever. They just want to feel like they get normal life back a little bit. So there'll be this big rush at first, I think, and then it's going to be like, whoo, right back down. And it's going to be the reality that the majority of people are streamers, right? They stream their TV shows, they stream their music, they stream their movies, and they're not itching to go out and catch live stuff on the regular, right?
I saw a thing. I'm sure you've got it there. It's called Oculus.
Yeah.
The Oculus 2. And I've never been into virtual reality stuff. But a friend of mine got it, went, you need to try this. Because he's wanting to set up events or like meetings within the metaverse. And I've put this on. And within seconds, it just felt intuitive. It just felt natural. And literally, I was in a cave with like a designer, like millionaire's kitchen, and birds tweeting in the background. And at the same time, I'm in my office in Huddersfield where it's grey and gold. Yeah. And it's just surreal. And once you put that into the mix, that's where we're going. We're going to be more online, more virtual than what we've ever been before. You know, it's the whole. spreading of germs, whether it be COVID or whatever the next thing that comes along is about. People are so conscious of that now. And that has to affect shows. It has to affect just handing somebody a microphone without thinking about it, for them to talk into it, for the next person to, you know, and it's crazy.
Wouldn't you, as someone who loves stage hypnotism, and I know you do, and most of our audience, right? Isn't there a part of you that actually gets really excited about, rather than just going and yet again sitting in the audience, wouldn't you love to catch an entire show from the hypnotist's perspective? To be right up and see like every, because you know how much stuff you and I see and catch that the audience doesn't. Like, I think that would be a really neat thing to bring to people. Almost like I've said for years here in the States, right? You've got the NFL, and the NFL for I don't know how many years now, a long time, has put microphones in the pads of the players, and they record what they're saying and they edit it up. And I'm like, man, if you told me, listen, we're going to run they have an NFL channel on the cable network, right? If you said, we're going to run this channel that's like the NFL uncensored. We're going to let you have all the mics we have running, and you'll hear them talking smack to each other and swearing at each other and everything. You will get the 100% real NFL experience. I've never paid for the NFL channel. I would sign up and pay for that, just at least for a season, to see what that experience that we don't understand is really like, right? And so I'm a huge soccer fan. I love what you all call football more than American football. Same thing. If you told me we're going to mic up 4 players on Man City, and we're going to mic up 4 players on, you know, Queens Park, and we're going to let you have everything. We're not going to hide any of it. Oh man, would I go for it? You know?
I think naturally, I think that's where we're going. Like,
it just seems like they're afraid to, because of what they know people would hear.
I think when TV used to be out there, it used to be very produced, very kind of fit within a tiny box. And as the years have progressed, that entertainment is becoming more and more less produced and more natural. And then you look at reality TV and how popular that is now. And then live streaming. Live streaming is never as professional and well produced as a produced show, unless you're watching this show, of course. So to have that actually being there, hearing everything uncensored, that puts you in the first person perspective as the hypnotist, I think that is absolutely brilliant. Colin mentioned about, and it's a great point, that you can't match the energy and connection virtually that you can experience in a live event. That's why, as a consumer of live entertainment and entertainer, I'm not buying into the idea of virtual that will replace live. I didn't until I tried that metaverse Oculus, because that was the difference. You can be in the metaverse and talking to somebody else in the metaverse, and it feels like you're talking to another person. It's not like being on Zoom. It's immersive.
It's not about replacing it. That's like, you know, saying that streaming, all the people who listen to Spotify, right, don't ever listen to vinyl records. Some of them do. It hasn't replaced. It's always about different demographics of people who are appealed to certain things, right? So there's always going to be people who want to still listen to music live, or see a live theater production on Broadway, or catch a live stage show. But the essential thing is, and Colin nailed it, I think you just got to turn it around and look at it from the other way, is what is the experience that you're actually trying to provide people? If, you know, stage hypnotism, the key word is stage, right? Like, if you're so attached to it being a theater experience, then you're limiting your creative ability to an extent. It's not right or wrong. It's just you know, what if you fundamentally, as a stage hypnotist, are not attached to it being a theater experience? What if you really genuinely are like, no, what I actually do is I provide a hypnosis experience to people.
Yeah.
And therefore, I have more flexibility in theory about how I provide that hypnosis experience.
Yeah.
I would love to see people, a young man who I trained, Zach Pinsence, has done, he got really well known. He's
like on TikTok, he smashed it.
Yeah.
Like, everyone said it would not work in those formats. And I look at his channel now, and he is just he has run with that completely.
And when I first trained him, Grant, I told him, I said, all right, we've done the conceptual training. It's time to just work on chops. So he lived where there was a tourist town near where he lived. I said, there's a ton of foot traffic in this town. You got to start busking. Like, go out and busk a minimum of 2 days a week. Bring your phone with you at the minimum, record it yourself. When you can, bring a friend, start getting footage.
Yeah.
And he did. This is great. This is what I love about Zach. He's like, okay. And he just did it. Whatever I said, he did it. Within a few weeks, he came back to me and he goes, I don't want to do it in that town anymore. He goes, and I said, why? And he said, he's so smart. He goes, well, there is a lot of foot traffic there. But what I've found is a lot of the foot traffic, they're people who are going someplace, they're going to a restaurant or they're going to an attraction. And when I ask them if they'd like to be hypnotized, I'm interrupting them getting to the thing they really want to do. And he goes, I can tell it irks some people. He's like, but if I went to the beach, people go to the beach to be at the beach.
Yeah.
And the beach was another like 20 minutes away, right? And he goes, I want to go to the beach. And while people are just hanging out at the beach, and they're not going anywhere, they're already there, then I want to go up to him. I was like, that's so smart. Go, do it. And he started going to the beach and doing street hypnosis at the beach. And his Instagram just blew up. And then his YouTube blew up. And then he started taking those videos and putting them on TikTok.
Yeah.
And his timing was perfect. He was like a super early adopter on TikTok. And now he's got, I don't know how many million followers on TikTok, and he's got over 500,000 followers on YouTube. And he's, it got him an agent, and everything he wanted came from being smart that way. Right. But so he did not confine himself to the stage experience.
Yeah.
It's a great example.
And I know when he was first breaking through, he got a lot of criticism from professional hypnotists that were like, all you're doing is getting a girl in a bikini on your thumbnail, and that's why people are clicking it. But it worked.
But they clicked, and right. If he wanted to, that I see the truth in that. But if he wanted to, he could give you a tour of his analytics, and he could show you, they're clicking, but then I've got the retention metrics to show you they're staying and watching, and they're actually watching what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's, and he wasn't clickbaiting people. He wasn't, he was just going where that's what was happening. And he had videos of him hypnotizing guys in swim trunks too. Yeah. It's just the way our culture is, no one was talking about that. Like,
well, it's not that we're naturally wired that way anyway. If we see something attractive on a thumbnail, a picture, a piece of art, on a movie, we are drawn to it. Once they do that click, and the content is there, that's what works. I mean, I think it's Gary V that kind of says, put out all the content you want. Don't worry about some of that content being shit and people not seeing it,
right?
Because the algorithm is so good. If you put out shit content, no one will see it. It will police itself. The good stuff is what gets shown to people, and Zach has absolutely smashed that. So if anybody has a contact for Zach, I would love to get him on the show as well, just to talk about that.
I trained him. I'll put you in touch.
Fantastic. There we go. There we go. But I think as hypnotists, we have to embrace the new technologies, the new world, as ways to market what we're doing, especially kind of coming out the COVID stuff. We've got to find my biggest mistake, and it was something I was very proud of. And again, probably ego more than anything, is I always push myself as I'm a stage hypnotist. I didn't push therapy. I didn't push hypnotherapy. I didn't do trainings. I didn't do this. I'm a stage hypnotist. I've been doing it for so long. This is what I do. I'm a master of this. All the other stuff, I'm not going to dilute it. And then COVID happened. And that was just like, well, that was a bit foolish, wasn't it, Grant? And so it's taught me, one, to not spend as much, but two, to generate different avenues, different revenue streams that can still be part of the hypnosis thing. I mean, I'm not I'm not selling bath water on OnlyFans.
But you could be.
But I could be. There we go. Sparkling
Give it
bath
time.
water.
Give it time, Grant.
But, you know.
Coming to you soon, folks. Oh, to Grant.
That's it. Just subscribe. If you want my spicy content, just subscribe.
If you want my spicy content. Oh, literally. I'll send you the bottle.
Yeah, we've got to embrace those new things that are coming out, that are coming forward. I know Patreon is a bit more civilized than OnlyFans, and there's a lot of guys doing well on that. Vimeo's got some payment things there now. There's a lot of people pushing towards monetization on YouTube, TikTok. All of this stuff can act as a revenue stream to help bring stuff in as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're all laughing at our bathwater now.
So wait, so Grant, like, the first thing is you think, this is what I do, I'm a stage hypnotist, but drill deeper on that. Like, when you think about how you approach your show concept, what are you really doing for your audience?
I like to not tell a story, but there was a moment where I went through a phase of where, as an entertainer using hypnosis, there was a time when I felt a bit, people would come to me afterwards and go, I have a friend that's a clinical hypnotherapist. And I'd be like, well, hypnosis is hypnosis is hypnosis. It's the vehicle that we use to either entertain or heal. And I kind of thought, is what I'm doing is it just junk food? Is it just people are just consuming it and then they're going off, and then next week they'll go to an improv night, and then the week after that they'll go to go see a drag act or whatever else? Do you know what I mean? But then I was at a show a couple of weeks ago. It was just before Christmas actually, and there was a couple there, and you know what it's like. You always get that person that's just like laughing and crying with laughter, and it's amazing. And afterwards, I didn't think too much of it. And afterwards, his wife has come to me and gone, "Thank you for tonight." He has not laughed. I have not seen him laugh or smile since our son died. Their son took his own life. Yeah. And tonight, for him, you could tell there was more to it. He just laughed. It just opened something up. And for those moments, it just gave him an escape from that reality. So in some sense, that gave him some kind of healing. And that's what I want to do. I want to take people that from their stressful jobs, their 9-to-5s, their shifts, their whatever it is, and when they come and see a show, for a few brief moments, they're taken away from all of that. The nagging wife, the kids that's a pain in the arse, that's always spending money, the engine management light on the car that's causing them stress, that's going to cost them money, the person at work that said that comment and they don't know what they mean by that, all that day-to-day stuff that our head is filled with. For the moment they're watching that show, I want them to just be immersed in that and having a great time. Yeah. I just think I think there aren't enough people in our profession who are articulating that for themselves. I think there's too many stage hypnotists who are like, this is a cool way to make money. Yeah. This is a fun way to make money. And of course that's true. And you know, I support your freedom as a sentient being to be like, that's good enough for me. Okay. But you're not going to have my respect as a colleague if that's as far as you can get. Yeah. Right? Like, I'm like, what we do is an art form. I believe that. There's science behind it, but I'm like, it's an art form. And if you're a shit artist, then I'm going to say you're kind of a shit artist. And I still love you as a person. I want you to have a good life, and I want you to, but I'm like, but when we talk about the craft, you got to be open to that criticism. You know what I mean? Like if you're not willing to go further, if you're not willing to expect more. And I just think, again, when we come out of this pandemic, you're probably going to have a bunch of people who are like, man, I can get back to just making money again. And that's cool. I'm like, is that enough? Again, I have a clear bias that I explained earlier. So if you don't line up with it, that's fine. Again, I still love you. I want you to be happy. But since I'm here to talk with you about it, I'm going to lay it out. Man, make something worthwhile, make something worthwhile. You have a limited time on this earth. You have the chance. If you're performing at all, you are so blessed to be able to do that.
There's other people that have done trainings, sometimes numerous trainings, and they still aren't out there taking the stage and getting the opportunities that deep down they wish they had. And if you are, then geez, like, do something with it, you know, and be able to
Oh, we just lost is there. Hopefully he will come back. Caught me off guard there. He didn't even stutter or anything. Paul, if you are there, just refresh your browser and it should come back. Put another 50p in the meter. Guys, are you enjoying this so far? Paul is an absolutely amazing advocate for hypnosis and a great speaker as well. He is there. So let me just check as well that it's not just me. No, it's just me on there as well. There he is back. He is back.
And you know, I was just getting rolling too.
I know.
I was just building up a head of steam. Man, that figures.
Yeah, that's it. There was too much motivation coming through. It was too much.
Hold on. I got 2 tabs. Wait, all right, now you may lose me again. Let me see. I got 2 tabs that I'm on both, and I'm getting an echo.
Oh, we lost him again, but he did say we might lose him again, but we know what it is. So yeah, so Paul is a fantastic hypnotist, hypnosis trainer, and he created a thing as well. We'll talk to him in a minute about this, called Mind Games, which was a really great way of doing a stage hypnosis show a little bit differently, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. Where he's back now.
I'll tell you another thing.
And that's the secret to $1 million. You were just topping up your bathwater, weren't you?
Sorry about yeah. Brian's got it's like, and here's my biggest secret, and then disappear.
Oh. But you know what? That's one of the things as stage hypnotists, we are primed that, you know, we're ready. If something goes awry, something goes wrong, something doesn't go the way that it's planned, we're used to that. You know, we are primed for it. I was just mentioning then about the mind games thing that you did with the remote controls and everything, which was such a great way of kind of taking the traditional stage hypnosis show and making it a bit more immersive and a bit more interactive.
Thank you.
I know you're big on that, the development of stage hypnosis. So many hypnotists have done the same old trainings with other people and are all reinventing the wheel. The amount of times that, and I'm guilty of this, you know, you craft a skit together, you put in the little funny bits, you get your inspiration from wherever, you find a music track that you think that's the track for that, it's perfect. And then you put it out there, and then you see someone. What's one thing I learned from this show, when I used to show clips from people's shows, and I'm like, I use that line. I use that bit of music. And you're like, we're all just reinventing the wheel. And imagine if, as a collective, we could come together and kind of go, rather than us spending our energy recreating this, why don't we join together and create something amazing?
Please. You know what? When I first met you, the thing I loved about you that I was like, I'm going to get on with this guy great was we were in Vegas and I was speaking at the conference, right? I was speaking at the Ultimate Stage Hypnosis Conference in Vegas, and I gave my presentation. In my presentation, I laid out, like, really bluntly, like, pretty much everything I've said today to this audience. And when it got done, Grant came up and talked to me afterward, and I said, so, like, what do you got going on with your show? And Grant looked at me and he goes, Purple Monkey.
Purple Monkey. Purple Monkey. Yeah. What's your USP? Like, I've got a purple monkey.
And that's, like, of course, that was he's always funny, right? Like the comedic response. But I think there's this, again, if you're truly happy doing a version of a stage show that is basically the same thing that they were doing in the vaudeville days 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, if it really makes you happy and you're just glad to have the opportunity to perform, and there are going to be people who are going to enjoy it, right? Fine. But I just think like, I'm like, okay, but it has been 100 years. And
Yeah.
and maybe could, every other, like you look at like, right, you look at music and how genres evolve, right? And
Yeah.
they don't, we went through that dubstep period. This is an example of not everything that should come out, everything that comes out should, but like you look at the painting and like all the movements through, like there's a process to
Yeah.
art that I think for some reason we haven't really participated in as a broader community, because you don't see that so much.
But do you know what it is? We are the majority of the time solo entertainers, and we're lucky in the fact of a lot of audiences have not seen a stage hypnosis show before, so we can do, and to be honest, we can
You
have
get away with it.
yeah, we can have
Yeah.
people that are not good entertainers at all,
Yeah.
and wooden, no delivery, nothing,
And people
no
are still going to
personality.
rave about you,
And
right?
people are
Like,
like, oh my God, that's amazing. And so why would you then go, oh, I need to work on that?
very fair.
And it's always when you make a mistake, it's when things go wrong, it's when your peers go, that's shit, that you've got that you go, oh right, well I need to work on that then. And I know lots of hypnotists that get so paranoid about other hypnotists going seeing their show, and it's like, why? You know what I mean? Because if it's terrible, then let them tell the world. I had a review that said Grant Saunders has all the charm and personality of an angry traffic warden crossed with a Butlins red coat holiday rep. I'm like, thank you. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, you're not wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, do you know, maybe I used to really sarge people. So you go, do you know what? Maybe I need to tone that down a little bit. But you learn from people giving you a bad review, but bad reviews don't last, especially if you take from it and go, well, let me do better.
Yeah.
And that's what works.
Yeah.
I know there's a hypnotist here in the UK that does a touring stage show. Robert Temple, great guy, great hypnotist. And I know he's done a show that didn't go as well as he expected. And other hypnotists like, oh, have you heard about this? And it's like, yeah, but he's still out there. He's still doing it. And now has a fantastic show because of it.
Yeah.
That's how we learn. Otherwise, we'll all just keep doing the piano routine and the,
I would love to see, first of all, if at any point you really want to, I would love to do some kind of a massive mastermind event where we bring together hypnotists and do that. Like, let's all put our heads together and build something fantastic. I think the other thing that I'll just say right now, I've thought about this for years, is when you look at what's happened again with other forms of art, right? And you think then we could potentially have a parallel development in this way, is you think there's less and less truly mainstream art anymore, right? Like if you TV shows, right? It used to be not too long ago that there was there were these central television shows that everyone was aware of and most people were watching. And now, because of all the streaming platforms, what you get are these niches instead, right? People who are into Yellowstone, or people who are into the Great British Baking Show, and there's all of this more niche stuff. Yeah. It's all worthy. It's just very little of it is truly going mainstream now. You can do the same thing with music, right? You get into there are all these people who are like, no, I don't listen to that. I don't listen to that. And so I'm like, it makes sense to me that stage hypnotism could do the same thing. Yeah. And I think what stage hypnotists are afraid of is that by niching down, they lose bookability, I guess, for lack of a better term. But I'm like, man, I want to see somebody do a stage show that purposefully targets like drag.
Yeah.
Like, what if you took all the things that people who love drag shows appreciate about it, and then you did a stage show where you bring up people who who they get it, but they don't necessarily do it. In fact, they don't do it, right? Like they know it, they've seen it on TV, they get it, but they don't do it. But you bring them up, and then to me, it's always what cast of characters can you create, right? So what if you brought up people who are cool and support the drag community, and you bring up people who don't ever do drag, and all of a sudden they're a drag cast, and you put on an entire, you don't make them up or anything, it's all just happening hypnotically, right? Like things like that. Like show me the cabaret show where you turn ordinary everyday people into a cast of cabaret performers, and again, there will be so many people who won't want to watch that, but for the people who love it, it will be, again, what experience are you giving? It will be an experience that they're like, that's my thing. And you've now provided it in a way that they never had it before.
There's an Australian hypnotist, Matt Hale, who does the Perth show, always rewriting his show, and very, very unique the way that he delivers stage hypnosis as well. And it works because of the way that he does it as well. And I think you're right. There's so much choice that people have now that they can, like you said, they can niche down to. I mean, we joked about this earlier. When you give people the freedom of choice to experience anything that they want without judgment, then you end up with, you know, people selling bathwater on the internet and selling pictures of the feet. But you know, if there's a market for that. Do you know what I mean? And then you're getting the people that you want. I know we're lucky in the UK that we don't have. Is it the Bash, the big entertainment website you guys have?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it used to be Gig Masters or Gig Salad.
Gig Masters, yeah.
We don't have that here yet. There's a couple that keep trying it, but I think the problem is like a lot of, especially stage hypnotists, they want to do every type of show. Do you know what I mean? Corporate show, I do that. You know, family show, I do that. Adult show, I do that. Such and such show, I do that. I specialize in this. And it's doing everything rather than doing a particular type of show really well and doubling down on that and just being like
chasing the money.
Exactly.
Right? You're chasing as many ways as I can to get booked. And I'm like, 15, 20 years from now, look back and see how happy that really made you.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, I talked with Terry. I love Terry Stokes. I don't know him well, but he's been kind to me. And I talked with Terry once, and he said to me, stage hypnotism has been very good to me. It's bought me planes and boats and houses and right. And I'm like, and I didn't say it because I didn't want to seem disrespectful, but part of me wanted to kind of go, and did that really make you happy?
Yeah.
Like it probably brought you some pleasure. But I think from what limited time I've had with Terry and watching him perform, I think his true joy is in the performing, not in the planes and the boats and the houses. It's, you know, and you look at, that's why the guy ended up performing, you know, he just had his last show at Hypnothoughts last July, you know, and it's, I don't know, 40 years, something like that. He's, you know, I'm like, the joy is in that, you know.
And I think the thing that drives us to the stage, whether it's a flaw or something, it's, I mean, I know from my upbringing, that's the reason why I need the applause and people to go, Grant, you're wonderful. And it's like, oh, thank you. I know. To the point where during the pandemic, I had friends kind of going, do you want us to record an applause for you, Grant? Is that what's wrong? You know, and it's, we have that. And I think when we don't get that, and I've suffered from this, if I'd have a gap of like a weekend without shows, I'd be online and I'd be buying new speakers, a new microphone, and I'm filling that hole inside of me. And now don't get me wrong, if I'm performing, that's okay. The performing fills that hole inside of me. But if I'm not, and that's why a lot of entertainers turn to drink, to drugs, you know, to God, you know, you've got to find something to fill that hole. Because when the music stops and the applause stops and you're sat at home by yourself and there's no distractions, it's at that moment you've got to feel good about yourself. You know, at that moment, it doesn't matter about a plane, a yacht, or any of those things. It's at that moment you got to kind of go, do you know, I feel good being me. So I've not reached that moment yet.
That's where I think what I would love to see is a movement in our industry where people do like, so when do you feel the best being you? And how do you bring that with you?
Yeah.
Like climb fully into your geekdom,
Yeah.
right? And when I presented last spring at William Mitchell's, the Heartland Hypnosis Conference, right? And I did it virtual. And what I said at the time that maybe I didn't say quite as well, I tried to say, lovingly exploit the stereotypes that there are about people, right?
Yeah.
Because, and what I really meant was go where people get geeky in a way,
Yeah.
right? So like if you're, you know, again, it's these niches, right? Like where if you're doing it lovingly, the people that you are stereotypingly will sense that.
Yeah.
Right. You're not doing it at their expense. You're doing it to celebrate them.
Yes.
Right. So one example I use is here in the United States. There's a very strong LGBT community in Provincetown in Massachusetts, Cape Cod. And I was like, man, I would love to see an LGBT hypnotist do a show in that community, find a place where they could four-wall and headline every week and do the stereotypical things that gay people like celebrate, you know? And like, so the easiest thing for me as a straight person is Broadway numbers, musical numbers, right? There's the stereotype that folks in that community, of course they don't all, but there is some kind of a subculture thing. Then do it, like bring them up and let them become, again, cast of characters. Celebrate that thing and let people have fun and let there be singing and dancing. I think if we could do that more and more, you know, I'm an Anglophile. I grew up, when I was a kid, we only had 4 channels on the TV, and because we had the old up on the roof antenna, you know, we didn't have cable. And one of them was public television. And one of the earliest shows I was exposed to was Doctor Who, the Tom Baker years, you know, and I was fascinated by it, and it started making me want to learn. I was like, where are these people that talk this way? I was like just a little kid in grade school, and I was like, where are they? And I learned about English people, and then I to this day I don't drink coffee, I drink tea. I only drink tea. I've never drank a cup of coffee in my life. And I think, you know, like so doctor, like I think, again, because I got that geeky out, I think a Doctor Who stage show would be like awesome. Like you could make people the different doctors, and you could make people Daleks and Cybermen, and like, come on, you know.
I must admit, there's so many subcultures of exactly that. Star Wars, Comic-Con, Star Trek, all of these things that almost write themselves show-wise. You've just got to change them a little bit. But yeah, a Doctor Who one would work really well.
Well, most stage hypnotists, Grant, right? Like if I floated that idea, they'd go, I can't book that all over the place. And I go, yeah, I know, that's the point.
Yeah, but exactly.
Don't try to book it all over the place.
Places where you can book it, you can book it at the right fee, and you get the right people. It just it makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
There we go. Who is it that did a show?
Imagine headlining at Comic-Con doing a Doctor Who stage show.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I'm like, that's a once in a lifetime. You'd be like, holy cow, that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Harry Potter show, that would work. And again, people love Harry Potter.
Yeah. And then get yourself lined up at Universal in Florida and do like, you know, a show there where you're surrounded by people who love it and are immersed in the culture, and they'd get it. Like it would work. Yeah. You know, but if you're back on the horse track with me at the Topsom Fair trying to do the Harry Potter show, it'd be awful, you know, it'd be terrible. And then the next year they brought me back because they felt bad for me that things got screwed up. And the next year they brought me back and they didn't put me on the horse track. You know where they put me instead? They put me off the horse track between the pumpkin patch and the frog jumping contest. Like that was a better solution. I had a group of belly dancers open for me, and there was a lot of bellies dancing on that.
Yeah, that sounds like years ago, I got a friend of mine, Alan, who used to my sound. He'd got me a gig in a ladies only gym, but it was a therapy gig, if you know what I mean. So every week I'd have a little office in this ladies only gym and seeing clients. And at first in my mind, it was like, yes, this is ace, but it really wasn't. Yeah. Let's play Quidditch.
Let's play Quidditch.
Oh, there's an offer. So what's next for you? I know you're doing a training. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm waiting. It kind of came. I had a few people contact me and they're like, "You haven't done a training in a while. You're going to do it." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do a stage hypnosis training. You want to do it?" So, if anyone wants to get certified in stage hypnotism, you can reach out to me. I was going to offer a training and go 12 weeks, February, March, April, all online. All my trainings for years now have been all online. I'm a former teacher, so I'm cool with building curriculum. We use a combination of written text, digital text, and pre-recorded instructional videos, real stage show footage, and then we do live webinars so that people can get consultation, ask advice, get advice and stuff. So we do all that, and that's that's the next thing. Yeah.
Good. So Brian is saying, is there a good way for people to find hypnosis shows to attend? Yeah, it's a weird one here in the UK. Yes. There's not a lot of hypnotists that publicly put their shows out there because a lot of shows are private parties as such. But
yeah,
find a hypnotist or find several hypnotists that you like, and just contact them and ask them. Weirdly, I know people have tried in the past to have like a central website or Facebook group where people can list their shows, but here in the UK, I know at one point other hypnotists were using that as a mailing list of these are the venues you want to prospect for shows. And do you know what I mean? And so a lot of people stopped putting that stuff out there. So, but yeah, I mean, Brian, wherever you are in the world, drop me a message. I can let you know where I am, and I can put you in touch with people that are in your area that are performing as well. But yeah, it's always great. Even now, if I'm not performing, I still like to go and see a stage show. I just think stage hypnosis shows are one of the funniest shows ever. And it's funny and it's educational as well. It's one of the best adverts for hypnotherapy. It's one of the best adverts for people to just, even if they're not going to seek a therapist out, for them to just go, oh, wow, the power of the mind is such a powerful thing. Maybe I can look into something else. So yeah, absolutely.
How much longer do you think you'll go?
I don't know. I'm not as young as I look on some of the filters. Brian Glenn is in the comments. I had the great honor of Brian runs a fantastic hypnotherapy school, and it's a very closed shop, and they've been running for 25 years. And they made me an honorary member of that today, which I was very honored about.
It's sweet.
Well, it is, and they put a picture up in the group. And when you look at a picture that you've not took of yourself or you've not put out there, they took a picture of a screenshot from a talk that I've done. And I looked at it and I thought, why have they photoshopped loads of crow's feet around my eyes and bags under my eyes? Why would they do that to me? I spent a lot of money on cameras and lighting just to try and make me look a little bit younger. Do you know? So, do you know, realistically, I think in my mind now, I've got not the end of my hypnosis career in view, but one thing COVID has taught me is spending, doing 50,000 miles a year in the car, traveling the world, being exhausted is not for me for much longer. I love performing, but I'm now at the stage where, again, I had it a couple of weeks ago, someone contacted me about a particular show, and I've kind of gone, I don't actually think you want a stage hypnotist show. For what you're looking at, you're probably better with a magician that can work the tables rather than a comedy hypnotist show. And so it's not about just being out there all the time now. And so I am looking at different revenue streams within the hypnosis world to just to utilize that a bit more, really.
So you're going to start selling your bath water.
Oh, bath water.
Bathwater,
beard trimmings, beard trimmings. That's why I'm growing it out. You know it. I used to just have this.
Right.
I've got a limited amount of stock that you see. Grow it all up. They won't know where their hair's from. Could charge extra for that.
That's awesome.
It has healing properties.
That's great.
Oh, brilliant. Let me put up a link to your website for those people that are interested in the training and stuff like that, or anyone that wants to connect with you on your social media. You are one of the nicest, most genuine guys ever.
Aww.
I do love a good hypnotist pose like that as well.
I always, this goes back to like what you were saying about when you do something for your show. When I shot this picture, this is an old picture now. I really need to get a new one that's the same thing. I'm like, when I shot this picture, everybody was doing pictures with watches.
Yeah.
Right. And so I shot this picture with the hand, and now there's like 7 million pictures of people with the hand. And when I see them, I'm like, that was my thing. And I'm like, no, it wasn't your thing. Just at the time, it seemed like your thing. Like you're the only person who's like, I'll shoot a picture with my hand. Yeah. But it's funny how we get attached to that stuff,
It is. Let me just have a look at this, because rather than sending them to your website, I've sent them to a wedding fair.
Well, I hope they find something good.
Yeah. PaulRamsay.com, into it.
It's just PaulRamsay.com, Ramsay. A lot of people spell it EY, but we're AY. And if you want to learn more about the training stuff, that's besthypnosistraining.com.
Right, let me just pop that up again. But by all means, if you're in Leeds this weekend, get yourself down to the Leeds Ramada Parkway wedding fair. There we go. Brilliant. So what's next for you? I mean, have you got plans for kind of going out with the caravan, or is that on hold as well?
Till fall. So I gotta finish my treatment. That'll take me through March, April-ish, and then I'll do high school events in June. Then I'm gonna then it's summer, which out here, I don't know about for you. We're always real quiet in the summer in the United States, right? Schools get out, and that's mostly where I've worked, is in the school, high school and college, mostly college market. So, summer will be real quiet, and then we'll go back to hopefully a normal college opening period for August and September. So again, that seems like it's way out, but it goes quick. So hopefully we'll get a nice tour booked up for August and September again. And then my sort of commitment to keep doing this thing that I really love is wrap that up and then grab the caravan and head west in like October. And, again, be out in Arizona where I can be near an airport. And if the agent books me, I can fly out of Tucson or Phoenix and, but be out there for the winter and then come back to New Hampshire. Natasha, I've never been to England, and I told you all, I've had a love affair with England and English people for a long time, and it's a bucket list type of thing to go. So
if you're going to come here, miss London. Everybody does London. It's so cliche. Come to, I think Natasha's in Wakefield or Pontefract. That's where you want to go.
I want to tour this now. I'll get made fun of, but I don't care. I like Newcastle brown ale. I want to tour the Newcastle factory and, do some of that stuff. So y'all take me around, and I want to eat Scotch eggs until I puke, and eggs. Yeah, Brian sherry trifle. I love sherry. I went to a British pub in the States, and I had sherry trifle many years ago, and I was like, I'll eat this a lot. Which again, for you all, you may be like, why would you want that? But
oh, fantastic. Brian Glenn says, never mind England, come to Benidorm.
I don't even know what that is.
Benidorm is it's like the entertainment capital of Spain. This sounds really weird, but it's the coolest thing ever. Brian Glenn is the new Batman. He actually lives in a cave.
Well, let's do it. I would love, again, to me, I would love to start doing more sort of, not necessarily trainings. Like, I'm always happy to do trainings. Again, as a former teacher, it feels good to use my old degree and train people. But I really would like more and more to work with hypnotists and do these kind of like mastermindy things where we're like, let's create more concepts. Let's get our heads together and sit and be creative and build more concepts. And I think, again, for me, in terms of trying to feel like I have some kind of a legacy, I'm like, man, I would love to see 15 different hypnotists that I've worked with be doing 15 completely different shows. Yeah. And people going, have you seen that? That's a cool show. Like that would make my heart sing. It really would.
Speaking of unique shows, and Natasha's just brought it up as well. Speaking of Benidorm, if you're interested in Benidorm, if you Google Sticky Vicky Benidorm, that is a very niche show. She's a dancer that's married to I believe he's the sheriff or the mayor of Benidorm, and she's quite an older lady, and she does a very interesting magic show.
All right.
Yeah, that's all I'll say on that.
Wonder where things disappear, but okay.
Oh, apparently razor blades, Christmas fairy lights. It's like a utility tool.
Oh my god! Have you ever heard of Stevie Starr, the human regurgitator?
Yeah.
He did the college circuit for a while out here and did very well. And I caught his show. Yeah. I liked his show so much I caught it twice. And you want to talk about a unique show? That dude's show is so good that at the beginning of the show, he tells you, he says, people ask me all the time, is this real or is it a con? And I tell them it's a con, but it's a great fucking con. And then he does this whole show. And you watch that show and you swear that guy is swallowing everything he swallowed. Pool balls, padlocks, light bulbs, rings, coins. You swear he's putting it down and bringing it back up. I've never been able to figure it out.
Yeah, well, Vicky's show is similar to that.
Yeah.
There's a great show here in the UK, kind of talking about unique shows, called The Circus of Horrors. And when I was first kind of getting into kind of touring and stuff, I was gigging with them. And the main characters come out, like the MC of the Circus of Horrors, and he does this trick. And I think Alex, who's in the comment section, I think Alex has done this trick as well, actually. But basically, he swallows a piece of wool, then gets a Stanley knife, jabs it into his belly, cuts down, and then pulls out the piece of wool. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, is that like, how's the trick done? And he's like, oh, it's dead simple. Like, a couple of hours before the show, I get this needle, I jab it into my stomach, into the fat of his stomach, and he threads it underneath. And it's like, I'm like, so there's not really a magic trick. You just actually stab yourself with a blade and then pull the wool out. And it's like, oh yeah, I can't do it for like 3 nights on a roll because it needs time to heal up. And it's like, wow, that's dedication.
That's it. You feel like you're kind of lazy, right? You go, purple monkey.
Yeah. In fact, do you know what? It was a big corporate event at the Winter Gardens in Blackpool. And talk about getting your market right. This was a black tie dinner, very posh. It was a great people. The sales guy won a Rolex watch. Someone won a cruise. It was a big corporate do. One of the first things they did when they came out was they came out with like a bowl full of maggots and just threw it into the audience. And you could see all these very rich, very well-to-do ladies with beautiful hair and everything, realizing that they've got maggots in their hair. Yeah, I don't think they get booked back again.
Oh, they didn't get rebooked. Yeah, probably not.
Yes.
Holy
The late great Akara. And he says, yes, it is real.
Whoa.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. So that's a different show altogether. I know I love the idea of a darker hypnosis show. Not satanic, but just without the emphasis of comedy, but more on the emphasis of look at what is. And it is almost like how it used to be when it was a parlor game, like profound demonstrations done in a really dramatic, dark way. But I've been working on that for about 3 years now, and it's just because it needs to be perfect.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
My holy grail that was like that. My holy grail was to design a show. Oh, thank you, Natasha. That's so sweet. I wanted to design a show where it was basically a covert induction process, and there was no formal taking of volunteers and no formal induction, where you just worked it all. I wanted to build a show where it started with the pre-show projection screen package that was running, that was basically starting to prime people and create fractionation via video. Yeah. And I had it started, I had a rough outline laid out, and I just got so everything was going so good when I came out with my interactive format. It was just too easy to let it go. It was too easy to not stay with it. But I thought, man, how cool would it be to build a show where really they're in light state before the show even starts.
Yeah.
Then you run some pattern stuff that's unofficial and you fractionate them more. And so that then really they're there and you don't do any suggestibility testing or anything. You just, all of a sudden, you just have an activator and your first bit is just dropping that on them. Yeah. And people are like, whoosh, in the audience. And then you just start collecting them and bring them up on stage. And, you know, I'm like, that would be super, super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
I did a local kind of town hall show. And it's one of the few shows where you get to four-wall it, dress it, style it yourself. And it's that shows for me, if you know what I mean. It's where I get my photos, videos, assets from to market the show. But yeah, so I hired like 5 foot tall metal letters to say the word sleep, to just go across the front of the stage, but on audience level. And so there's lots of things dotted around the room that were all pointing in that direction to just make it so much easier that when you come out, they're already there. So yeah, cool. No, it's Natasha in the comments again. Paul, it's been an absolute honor. It's been great to have you on again. And like I said, Natasha says you should be on every week.
Well, that would get old, but I appreciate the sentiment. Thank you so much. I love talking with you. You have a great crowd here, and they're always sweet and kind, and I'm happy to be part of that community. Thank you all so much for spending some time with me.
Fantastic. I shall. I'll send you a message after this, and I'll send you some Yorkshire tea over. Yorkshire tea is the best tea in the world. I'll send that over for you. Oh, it really is. Yeah, proper tea.
Proper tea.
Proper tea. Fantastic. All right. So Richard Cole's got a great question. He's asking, are you doing any conventions this year?
Oh yeah, I'm actually I'm super psyched about this. Thank you for asking, Richard. I'm doing a 2-hour at Hypno Thoughts at the end of July. And honestly, again, what I said earlier, I thought to myself when I submitted this year, you know, in the old days, I would have thought, how can I do something like a 1-day or a 2-day pre-conference where I can generate revenue? And with everything that's going on in my life, I said, you know what? No, I'm going the whole other way. How can I do the thing that I think would be the most fun and that would really help people? Yeah. And I'm just going to do it. And so I submitted, and they're giving me a 2-hour, and it's called Break the Mold, Modern Stage Hypnotism. And it's going to be a 2-hour workshop that's aimed at already trained stage hypnotists. Yeah. And it's going to be come in, and for 2 hours, I'm not going to talk at you. We're just going to work on a process of like figure your concept out, either tear down your existing one and rebuild it into something more powerful, or say, I'm ready to let it go and I want to build a whole new one. Yeah. And we're going to really look at how can you do that? We're going to take 2 hours. I asked for 4 because I really wanted to go deep on it, but they gave me a 2, which is fine. And we're going to work hard for 2 hours, and hopefully folks are going to come out of that too. And it's not a pre or a post. It's included in if you're there, you just get to go. Brilliant. So please, if you're really into stage and you like what we've talked about today, that'll be a great opportunity to do something based on what we've talked about today. I'm happy to share that experience with you.
Yeah. Richard Cole says, we'll share a couple of Newcastle ales.
Deal.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Guys, please do show the love for Paul in the comment section. Put that applause emoji or the eggplant emoji. And if he does put his toenails or bathwater up for sale.
Everybody who comes to my conference convention thing, I was getting a free vial of my toenail clippings. Yep, that's what we're going to do. So wrong.
Do you know what though? There'll be someone out there now rubbing their thighs, going, "Ooh, ooh, ooh, ooh." Do you know what? I can make a guess. There's probably at least 2 people in the comment section.
Thank you, Brian.
Fantastic, brilliant, Paul. Thank you very much for joining us and sharing your story as well. Good luck with everything that you've got going on as well. And yeah, fantastic, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. I'll see you next time.